Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. Just turning my volume down. Hello to everyone in the chat. Happy Monday to you all. We are here reflecting on game week 5 and as always looking ahead to game week 6. Spoiler alert, I'm on a wild card. And we're answering your questions as always. Hello to everyone in the chat. All the way from San Diego with a ceiling fan. That's how you know he's not in England.
Oh, do you like
Mr.
that?
Dean Jones. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah. Need the ceiling fans out here to survive, I can tell you. Beautiful weekend here, mate. Yeah, lovely sun, lovely temperatures. As I'm sure it's been back in England. Not so good in FPL. I said on here the other day, I'm very tempted to free hit. I won't because I know it's not the thing to do. But as a result of that, I've lost my rank. I don't even know what position I'm right now. But
About 350k, I think.
290.
Ah, it's not too
bad. But obviously that's just pretty average now.
No, it's not. It's still really high. So earlier on, I was on. I got tagged. I always get tagged. Like there's certain apps you can use where you create your own mini leagues, and there's someone's done one of all the content creators, the FPL content creators. So Dean, you're not in there, but no. I'm in there, and I'm like rank 60, 70 or something from I don't know 100 of us. And I scrolled to the top. I was like, let's see who's top, and there was. I just assumed your rank was, say, 60, 70k, which is where it was last week. And I went, there's only 2 people above Dean. One was at like 20, one was at 30, but they both used chips. And I was like, Dean is the top ranked FPL content creator in the world that hasn't used a chip. And I was gonna do a post about chasing green arrows and tag you. I thought I'd just check Dean's rank now. I'm sure it'll be roughly around the same from last week. And I was like, whoa, you only it wasn't a horrendous week.
Wasn't even a drop. I've got 54 points. It wasn't that bad. Yeah.
But that's what it's like at the top. If you fall just below average on 1 week, you're ranked, you've dropped 200k. And that's the reality of those higher ranks. But you can claw it back. I'm sure you will. But yeah, I was like, I can't do that tweet now.
No, you couldn't do that tweet. No, sorry, mate. If I'd have done the free hit, I'm not sure how much better off I would have been because my free hit plan was to avoid the Arsenal Man City game. It was going to be a bit of a gamble. And I don't know necessarily that means definitely not having Haaland because I was still weighing that up. But I wasn't going to have Saka. He got a few points. Yeah. Then I wouldn't have had Rico Lewis, and he obviously let me down this week, and I'd been anticipating that moment. Yeah. I've been saying Rico Lewis is going to lose his spot in his team soon. It's not because he deserves to; it's that Walker's going to get a game. It's probably in a big one like this. So yeah, a bit frustrating. Looks like we got some good points in the chat though. Getty's 73 points, 400k. Nice. Clive 80 benched Gabby for 7 points. Super 69 points and 40k overall. Zubin 79 points and he's at 164k.
Very nice.
Some good points earners this week, but I mean the whole world and their dog seems to be ready to wildcard. I think I don't know, man. I probably will, just because I'm a bit fed up, but I could get by without it. I could definitely get by without it, but I just fear because everyone's going to have a good team for the next game, then my rank's going to drop. It won't be as good as the wildcard team, so my rank will drop again.
Yeah, I hear you. FPL Maggot in the chat, hello to you. Mark says, don't do it, Dean. We'll do a poll. Are you on wildcard, yes or no? I reckon 50%. Oh, CH literally just said, next poll, are you on wildcard this week? Yes or no? Or already used it? CH, there's a third option. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I reckon 50% are going to say yes to that. I genuinely feels like everyone, and I know that just from my YouTube video that I uploaded yesterday, because I did a wildcard video and it's been more popular than all the other wildcard vids I've done it, which means everyone is searching on YouTube game week 6 wildcards. So I just guess it's because of the Arsenal swing. The Brentford have got good fixtures. Bournemouth have got an amazing couple if you want to jump on a Semenyo. But Dean, you're in a position where you've got Saka already. So you've got an Arsenal player ahead of everyone. A lot of people don't have any Arsenal. You've got Saka in place. And you've got a couple of free transfers, no?
I've got one, but I mean, if I was to do one, I'd probably bring in David Raya. That's what I'd probably, if I had one to do, I would probably think I just want to go Raya and stick with him now. Upgrade from Pope would only be 0.5, so I could do that quite easily. But I think I'm just going to have too much envy of seeing all the wild cards and knowing what I could have. And that I've got nothing to lose really by doing the wild card, because it just means I've got a better chance of staying ahead of people that are wild carding now rather than losing ground on them. What am I really saving it for?
Yeah.
That's probably the route I'm going down. Baron says, fun fact, the latest I've ever used a wild card. I always panic and play it in 3 game weeks. Blimey, right? That's not good.
You can go all the way up to game week 18, 19, you know, like you can go all the way up to Christmas pretty much.
And this is the thing, like, if I did see it through and accept that my rank was going to go down for the next 2 weeks, all right? But in 4 or 5 weeks' time, when these wild cards are losing relevance, to have that up your sleeve and go, okay, well, here's the best team right now, and suddenly make up ground. You've always got that. It's a very strange situation, because I don't normally have anything to care about. I'm normally just kind of middle. I've obviously had some good seasons, but I also wasn't on a show where I was talking about it. So now I feel like don't drop too far down.
Yeah. I mean, there is a new rule this year, and we've forgotten about it a little bit because it was announced when the game dropped and the Premier League have said nothing about it. But just all remember, the Premier League have told us there is going to be a mystery chip and we'll know about it by January. So I expect in December there'll be an announcement about this mystery chip. Now, we'll be able to use that for the second half of the season alongside another wild card and any other chips we've got. If that mystery chip is something like, I don't know, it's a chip that you can't use any other chip that week, you might want to tear up your team and start again. We don't know what it's going to be, but I like the idea of having used your first wildcard way before you play that chip. You might play that chip first week of January. What if you wildcard end of December and the first week of January, the mystery chip is something that you want to use, and actually it means that your wildcard team is kind of ripped up or whatever. I just think knowing we've got this new mystery chip, space out your wildcards or your chips, and therefore use your first wild card sooner rather than later. Because if you use it in December and then all that planning goes out the window because the mystery chip changes something, we don't know what that mystery chip's going to be. You'd be gutted. So I wouldn't wait till the end of December to use your first wild card, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing is it make the show a lot more interesting if I've suddenly got a wild card to use in 4 or 5 weeks' time. So
true. Game week 12 is a good fixture swing, apparently.
Is it really? Yeah. So I'm thinking of the chasers here and getting some decent content out of us. But yeah, my team wouldn't be disastrous by any stretch of the imagination. Like if I did stick and just bought in Raya and goal, but it just wouldn't be as strong on paper as everybody else is. And it depends really, I guess, what we trust on players like Eze, Rodgers, Calvert-Lewin, Solanke, because those 4 would all be playing for me. And I like them all. Do I trust them? Don't think I do.
Yeah. Mate, I might be bringing in 1 or 2 of them on wildcard.
Well, this is the thing. And I know that a lot of wildcards are going to have these players in as well.
Calvert-Lewin's going to be so popular.
I think of my overall squad, if I was to wildcard, I would change 6 players.
Oh, mate, I'm changing 9 or 10.
This is the thing.
I'm not getting 11 out each week. I've got a lot of dead wood. Like I've got injuries. I've got players that don't play. Your squad's in much better shape than mine.
Yeah, and of those 6, 2 of them are subs that I'd have to change because they're just redundant. Yeah. So, yeah, I've got a decision to make. And if I could avoid the wild card, I think it would be fun to do that and to have it up my sleeve for further down the line when the going gets tougher, basically.
But we'll see your team. Yeah, we'll see your team soon, won't we?
How do we want to start it out, mate?
I guess we should start with our regular features and then get to our points and then with a bit of future planning. But I've just seen in the chat, Shiraz just said, I've just seen your tweet and come. And he's come for his first time. So he says, it's his first time. He says, if I made my 5 transfers and taken hits and will hit the wildcard button before the deadline, will I get my transfers and hits back after I click it? Yes, you will. Everything you do on wildcard gets wiped. So hits and transfers completely taken out the equation. And look, amazing. If you've got 5 free transfers because you've not done any transfers at all this season, you wildcard now, game week 6, you're going to have 5, maybe 6 actually, transfers. I don't know if it carries over to 6. It might be capped at 5. Yeah. But you'll have 5 free transfers off the back of a wild card. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. So welcome to the channel, Shiraz. I hope you've hit that subscribe button and you've seen enough to want to support us moving forward. And thank you to everyone else that's been hitting the likes as well. Dean, headlines from the weekend. Let's go through a couple before we go to our bonus beast feature. I mean, the big game was Arsenal City. What did you make of it? Like, as a football perspective, and then with an FPL nod, because obviously the news at the back of it, we got to talk Rodri and the repercussions of that as well.
Yeah, look, from a football perspective, I absolutely loved it. Like, that is what I live for, games like that. That is traditional Barclays. I want teams to hate each other. I want players to hate each other. I want them to rattle each other. And I then want them to have to, as soon as Havertz and Rodri have their collision, City just played them off the park for 15 minutes, basically. And I'm like, oh, Havertz, that might have been a mistake. You've kind of woken the beast here. Yeah. But then Arsenal score a worldie, score a set piece, turn the game back in that direction. Like, that's unbelievable. It's so unbelievably hard to do at the Etihad, to turn a game around from being 1-0 down.
Fair play.
Obviously, though, the Rodri injury has changed the game and also changes the outlook of the season. Reports today suggest there's a possibility he's out for the season, which is horrible news, to be honest. Like, that is really bad news if Rodri really does miss the full season, because we're not seeing every team at their best, and I never want to see that, no matter who it is. So that was a shame, but it was great to watch. Now, in terms of takeaways, so there's the Rodri knock-on effect. There's the Gabriel effect from set pieces that we have to consider. So let's kind of start with those, because what Rodri's really done for me is, here's what happens. Like, Man City didn't really fix the DM position in the summer when they had considered doing it. They ended up signing Gundogan, which is helpful in terms of depth, but it's not the same. John Stones is basically going to end up playing as Rodri, I imagine. Now, for me,
do you reckon as a right back inverting into the space, or do you actually think as an out and out?
No, he'll play the Rodri position, and Rico Lewis will go back to doing.
Rico Lewis is therefore needed more to.
Rico Lewis will come back into this team. Yeah. Like, he will be needed to join this team together now. Kyle Walker cannot do it. Kyle Walker again didn't have a good game.
It was poor.
Your tweets. So I've got more optimism now about Rico Lewis getting his minutes back.
I bet you have.
So again,
wildcard
another less reason for me to wildcard, because I'm more optimistic over his minutes.
He's in my wildcard draft, by the way, and he was before the Rodri injury, and I knew that was bold, but now even more so.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph says, for me, Lewis is now Carabao and still bench. That's not right, mate. I'm telling you, like, that won't be what Pep loves. Rico Lewis, I said going into the fixture at the weekend, Walker has experience. He's good at this. He's fast. He's got this and that. He's more physical than Rico Lewis. He'll like that. But Kyle Walker is not having a good season.
And he wasn't that physical on Gabriel with his tapping.
I would play Kyle Walker in the Carabao Cup and save Rico Lewis for the Premier League. That's how convinced I am of it going in the other direction. So the other problem for Man City right now is, not only is Rodri out, but Kevin De Bruyne is out, and they haven't got Julian Alvarez. So those three cogs missing from Manchester City right now, that is significant. I'm not saying that they haven't got the squad to deal with it, because of course they should have. But it's not great, because Kevin De Bruyne was in really good form. Phil Foden's just coming back into the team.
And Haaland doesn't have a while to put Foden on. Foden's nowhere near ready for 90, is he?
About that. Haaland doesn't have any backup. What if Haaland now gets injured? What if Haaland has to miss a few games?
Yeah.
So that is interesting. And again, like, perhaps that works in my favour of not wildcarding right now, just in case anything else goes wrong at Man City. But yeah, I thought Arteta's tactics were right in the second half. I know people were knocking him for not having any outball, for not looking to counter at all. He didn't need to. He was like, if we can see this out, if we can keep Man City passing sideways, then they don't score. Because the only way that Man City are going to score here, by the look of it, is a set piece or a long distance strike. And people were wondering why City had all these defenders on. But Kyle Walker, Gvardiol, Diaz, they've all got that massive shot in them that flies towards goal. It's got to go through a bundle of bodies because there's two walls been built in front of them. It's only got to take a slight deflection and you've got the goal you needed. So I think that was part of the plan as well. And ultimately, obviously, City did find their breakthrough. So, yeah, I think that on the flip side of it, looking at Arsenal, what have we learned? It's mainly that like Gabriel, David Raya are almost must-haves now.
And
Like
Saka for those set pieces too.
and
Like,
Saka too. Yeah, sorry,
on a
I've kept Saka
sixpence
non-stop
twice.
anyway, so I say that. But yeah, Saka. I know he got
Why did he
subbed
get
once.
hooked? Was that purely because Martinelli on the counter offers something different and they
I
had to
don't know, mate. I
sacrifice?
mean,
Is there an injury there? It's unlike him to sub Saka.
it's very. I mean, obviously, Saka's always got an injury, so maybe
True. He's
that's
never
what he was
100%.
thinking.
Yeah.
Saka's always got a little triangle by his name. But I was surprised to see Saka taken off once Trossard got his red card. So that was a slight shame. But Saka, Gabriel, David Raya, for me, that's your three.
Mate, I'm an absolute idiot, right? I put my wild card triggered on Saturday night and I bought in all the players that could go up in value on Saturday. And I missed one. Because on Sunday, he had a worldie game, he scored a goal, and he went up in value. And I checked Sunday night and didn't think about it. And it was Gabriel. I missed Gabriel, thinking he's never going to get a price rise, but because he scored on Sunday. So this morning I look and I'm like, oh my God, he's 6.1. Now I've put together a draft on my wild card and I'm 0.1 short. I can't get Dominic Calvert-Lewin now. I'm on Evan Nilsson.
Yeah,
5.9 instead of 6. All because of Gabriel being 6.1. But Gabriel is a must-have. You know, I'm not going Saliba for 6. I want Gabriel because just for the bombs in the box. Like we saw that the warning. 5 minutes before the goal, Saka takes exactly the same corner, finds exactly the same spot, and Gabriel actually fluffs it, but he still wins the header. But it's such a good, like we saw it against Spurs, it's such a good play, and he is a threat like no other centre-back in the league from headers.
Yeah. I know you tweeted today about Martinelli.
Yeah, I did.
Your tweet.
What it is everyone on Wildcard is sacrificing Salah for Saka. You can't have a draft with Salah and Saka if you want the Haalands and the Trents of this world, which everyone sees as a must-have. If you do want Salah, you need to think of a compromise. Now, that compromise has to be Bukayo Saka because you can't have both in that midfield. So if you're taking Saka out, you still need to cover the Arsenal attack, right? Who do you go for? Because Havertz, yeah, maybe, but he's expensive, and that's not a massive. Like, he's still spending a ton of money. Odegaard's obviously injured. With those injuries in mind to Odegaard and now Trossard suspended, one guy that's absolutely nailed for minutes is Martinelli, who a couple of seasons ago matched Saka and Odegaard for points, and they were all priced at 8.5. Then last season, they all split at different levels. But for like 6.5 million, you can get Martinelli. I'm not saying he's anywhere near as good as Saka, but you can have Martinelli and then keep your Salah. And many think Mo Salah away to Wolves is a really good fixture. Personally, I'm happy going without Salah, but I know a lot want to somehow keep him. And if you're keeping him, you could consider Martinelli.
I just think he's got no goal threat. Like he finds himself so wide.
He's proper wide.
There's been no directness to him. Like what you used to get, Martinelli used when he was breaking through was basically a centre forward. Like he was always central, always going in on goal.
Direct as well, always
so
to goal.
Direct.
Yeah.
And over the course of this year, literally the calendar year, we're just not seeing it from Martinelli. I mean, when was the last time Martinelli scored a goal?
Yeah,
I could not tell you. I'm going to look it up because I actually couldn't tell you. Like
you're right about the calendar year though. Last season he was off towards the run-in. He lost his place, didn't he? Trossard ended up starting a lot on that left-hand side at the end for the run-in.
I reckon he hasn't scored since February or March, Martinelli. I reckon it's that long since he scored a Premier League goal for Arsenal. So I wouldn't have any interest in that. Plus, don't forget, you look at Arsenal's fixtures, right? Leicester at home, Champions League against PSG, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away. They've still got Raheem Sterling to come into the mix and Gabby Jesus to come into the mix. Don't tell me that those two aren't getting decent game time across those 3 games because they will.
And Gabby Jesus off the bench. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Gabby Jesus probably comes in for Trossard. You could even see Havertz playing in the Odegaard role. Like again, that's a possibility if Gabby Jesus is going to play up front. But we've seen Gabby Jesus get good minutes on the left-hand side as well. Even in all, 93 this week and up to 8th in the CGA League, says Daughter and Dad. That is awesome, Daughter and Dad. We don't see much of you around here. I hope you're subscribed. I'm sure you are. A few mentioned Evan Nilsson, actually. I mentioned him as an option. his record, Dean, and you cover all of Europe's top leagues. I say top leagues. The Portugal league isn't exactly one of the top, but it's up there. And Evan Ilson, I was looking at some of his numbers earlier. Such a good record at Porto last year. Enough for Bournemouth to spend the 35 odd million on him.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he's actually been capped by Brazil a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
He's going to start scoring at some point, isn't he? Like, Bournemouth have got Leicester and Southampton in the next 2, and he's 5.9. Like, surely Evan Ilson with his pedigree, and Bournemouth have taken the 3rd most shots of any team this season so far. Only Man City and Spurs, I was looking at the scout members area earlier, have had more shots and attempts than Bournemouth. Now, bearing in mind Bournemouth have played Liverpool and Newcastle and City, that's good going for shot volume. And he's their main man.
He is, yeah. He's a really interesting player, Evan Ilson, in terms of what you get from him. He loves an early shot off when he can get one. So you'll see more of that coming into his game. He's good at running with the ball. He's good at getting in between lines. He's incredibly fast. And I think that you'll see him breaking through behind to get in chances as well. He's got everything. I think so far, Bournemouth just haven't quite worked out how to unlock him. I just don't think they've quite got to the stage where they know what to do to open up his best chances. But yeah, he was a bit of a monster at Porto in the end. And he's got everything you would need. I'll be totally honest. Like, it was a great signing to replace Solanke with him, because there's so much that should just be transferable. Yeah, it should work.
Similar style in terms of profile. He must be. Bournemouth would have known that that's what they need.
It's a similar profile.
So
he'll score goals. It's just obviously when you go into a new team, sometimes it can take a bit of time, and that's what you're gambling on, really.
I mean, we just saw Solanke only score his first goal for Spurs at the weekend. You know, it's and he's getting loads of chances. He got 1.61 XG. Solanke, he should have had more than one.
Yeah, he should have.
And Evan Ilson is someone I'm genuinely tempted on wildcard, just because those next 2, Leicester and Southampton, for me, are games. Bournemouth are going to blow those teams away. Like, Bournemouth are a really good footballing team. They're naive at times. They'll go to Anfield and go head to head with Liverpool and be beasted off the pitch. Unlike Forest, it will go there and park the bus and get a result. But when Bournemouth come up against the Leicester or come up against the Southampton, I think they're going to blow them away. And I think both Semenyo and Evan Ilson, and that double up for 2 fixtures for those on wildcard is worth considering.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Semenyo had the ball in the back of the net, didn't he, at Anfield?
Yeah. He's flying as well.
It's close. It's close. Gwyn says Martinelli's last Prem goal was 8th of October last year.
God.
No way.
Someone just check that. Really? That is
surely
shocking.
Not.
No wonder I got abuse on Twitter today.
I mean, I know I can't remember one, but
October.
Can't be a whole calendar year that Martinelli. I'm going to check this myself now.
I'll answer Casey's question when you do, because Casey, look, anyone else in the chat help Casey out. I've never looked this up, and I've never done it. I know if you use 2 transfers and you hit the wildcard button, they're wiped. I would expect it's the same for all chips, therefore for free hit as well. But Casey, I'm not 100% sure. If you're wildcard, you get your transfers back. If you're free hit, I assume you do, but I'm not 100%. The chat will, however, let you know. Mustafa says his last goal was Feb.
I've actually got him one for March. He scored 4th of March against Sheffield United. Arsenal won 6-0, and Martinelli scored. So yeah, I said February, March, and that would kind of make sense. But so this calendar year, Martinelli scored 4 goals, right? And we're basically in October.
Are they all Premier League? They're not even Premier League.
Those are all Premier League. So they got 2 against Palace, 1 against Liverpool, and 1 against Sheffield United. Let's see if he scored in any other comps. Didn't score. No, he hasn't really scored.
Goals against Sheffield United don't count, says Mark. Oh, brilliant. Guys, thank you for tuning in, as always. We'll crack on with some bonus beats. Then we're going to see our teams. And we'll also, Dean was at 40k, says Sodnika. Yeah, I think you've probably just seen my tweet, haven't you, Sodnika? He was flying. Guys, we will answer some questions as well. He scored in July versus United in a friendly in the USA. He did. That was a good goal. I actually saw that and went, oh, pre-season, he looks all right. Yeah, pre-seasons don't count. Neither do penalty shootouts. Okay, let's crack on, though, with our bonus beast feature, and then we'll carry on with awesome wildcard chat. Because there's a couple of players I want to mention that have come up in the chat. We've just mentioned the Bournemouth guys. Then we'll also talk Garnacho later in the show, because I think he's a genuine differential on... We'll talk wildcard differentials, so stay tuned for that. One to mention again on bonus. I didn't know if Diaz was going to start because Gakpo was so good. against Milan. But boy, is Diaz Liverpool's best player so far this season. The concern here, Dean, is he's just never getting 90 minutes. But that doesn't matter if he's scoring a brace. But when you spend that money, 7.9 million on a midfielder or Jota at 7.5, you want more than 70 minutes. You want to know at times they'll get 90.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing with Slot is Jota, Diaz, Gakpo, Darwin, they're all going to share minutes. Yeah, some will get 60 a lot more, some will get 30 a lot more, but they're going to share minutes, aren't they?
They are, yeah. He's kind of unavoidable as like a good asset now. And I know that people show concern about the Champions League and the scheduling and the rotations. But what matters most is players that deliver goals. And Luis Diaz is the guy that's delivering goals. Now, part of me thinks it's because there's been times when Bournemouth, for example, were paying so much attention to not giving Salah any time or space that Luis Diaz just gets a little bit more, and he's being efficient in his goal scoring. We know the type of goals that he's getting at the moment, and he's being very good in front of goal. Sushant says Diaz is a must for non-Salah teams, and that's absolutely true. If you haven't got Salah, you have to have Diaz.
Oh, I haven't got either in my wildcard draft.
Oh, mate. I think that's
stressing me out. I've got Trent. He's an attacker.
Okay, well, I mean, Trent is definitely goes to some way to make up for it, but who's going to be scoring the goals for Liverpool at the moment? And just if you were to every week have a first goal scorer bet, you're saying Salah or Diaz, right?
Yeah, but it's the rotation. I know he's starting all the Premier League games, but that AC Milan game was Liverpool's biggest game of the season so far, and he didn't start him. Like, that's not saying. Like, there's going to be Champions League games where Diaz starts, a lot of them. And when there's 3 days later a Premier League game, I'm going to be like, oh, this is a Gakpo game.
But you can't predict when those minutes are going to come, because coming up, he's got West Ham, Wolves, Bologna, Crystal Palace, Chelsea. Who knows?
And he's going to start. He's probably only going to miss one. He's probably only not going to start one or two.
Even when he comes in, he's going to be getting decent. And you don't know when it's coming. Obviously, all of us hate to see one of our FPL players on the bench. It's going to happen when you pick a player like this, but you've got to live for the rewards that come.
You're right.
Because people won't be willing. Like, it's 28% owned. I don't think that will get that much higher, even though he's in great form for one of the best teams in the league, because people are scared of that rotation. I think if you stick by him, you could get the rewards. But if you're not willing to accept...
You're going to see Gakpo start in the week in the AFL Cup as well, and everyone will go, Gakpo started. But
it's scary, of course. Like, it's really hard to have.
That average position map and heat map is good. Look at all those sort of last third touches, and even in and around the box. And when I look at the average positions at Liverpool, Jota's always dropping deep to supply the wide forwards. So a bit like Harry Kane under Southgate, or at times we saw it with Bobby Firmino under Klopp. Like, Jota's job is to get on the ball and feed Diaz and Salah, and it makes them even better assets. Now, when Darwin comes into the team, I was like, I'm going to check the average position map. Darwin's going to be the most advanced man, and Liverpool going to play differently. No, Darwin had to play the Jota role. Darwin's average position was Harry Kane in the Euros. Like, it was on the halfway, and that's not really Darwin, which is why I think it'll be Jota's spot. But you look at the game and go, when Diaz scores that from the long ball from Konate, you'd expect Darwin to be there. But no, Diaz was, because the wide forwards are the most advanced men on the pitch. So Diaz is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, but it's a nice gamble when it pays off.
Yeah. We will move through. I've got a couple of wildcard differentials for you in a minute. Stay tuned. I've got some mid-price midfielders we're going to discuss, and I'll just give you their names now. We're going to discuss Savinho. We're going to touch on Szoboszlai, that was mentioned in the chat, Garnacho, and I just want to touch on Eze and Mbeumo as well. But Morgan Rogers, for me, if I'm listing my 3 players on wildcard that I absolutely must have without any shadow of a doubt, it's Haaland and Trent, obviously, and this man, Morgan Rogers, who delivered 10 points. He actually went from 2 bonus points to 3 bonus points at about 6:45 on Sunday evening, because FPL have changed the rules with bonus. They can go now 50 minutes after the last game and then tweak them.
I don't like that.
I know. So I Rodgers as 9 and then 10. But look at this average position map. That is a proper second striker, number 10, who is finally getting the XA and therefore the A. The assists. He didn't clock any XG. He didn't need to. He is supplying the likes of Ollie Watkins, the likes of John Duran, And boy, has he been Aston Villa's best player of the season. Absolutely, he has been. I promise you that. Forget FPL for a minute, because we all just look at the numbers and the points and go, he's not been good. He has been Villa's best player, and he hasn't missed a single minute. 90-90, 90-90-90. Get him in your team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, until this week, he was only delivering 2 points a week. So even I was getting fed up with him. I'm watching every game being like, he's obviously great, but where are the points, mate? Like, give me something here. So he's coming with a 10-pointer, which is very handy in terms of keeping him, and perhaps persuaded me not to wildcard this week because I've already got him. They've got Ipswich away next up. They've got Man United coming up at home soon. They've got Fulham away. Like I said, it's a pretty decent run of fixtures, to be fair, because Man United at home obviously isn't a scary one anymore. And he just charges past people. He just charges past everyone. Now, let's see what else he can add to his game over the course of this season. But there aren't really any players at 5.1 or 5.2 or whatever you manage to get him at that are going to be playing 90 minutes supporting Ollie Watkins or John Duran. Like, to have that sort of like, you're either teeing up these top strikers or you're collecting the bits and pieces left over from their shots or something that's gone wrong. He's such a good player. I love watching him. His style of play is great. So I'm glad.
Those next 4 fixtures are good. Ipswich, United, Fulham, Bournemouth. They're all fixtures for goals. And I'm glad I had my little run about Ollie Watkins is still nailed. As promised, Watkins started at the weekend, scored, and I think played like 80, 90 minutes. John Duran's great. And he's getting goals off the bench all the time. I still wouldn't pick him in FPL until he's guaranteed starter, which I can't see anytime soon.
Yes.
And I don't see them really playing together much. At times they will, but if they play together, it will be when they're chasing a game and Rodgers is still on the pitch. We're not going to see Rodgers drop for Duran, guys. I see that's been mentioned in the chat. That's just not going to happen, Mustafa. No, Rodgers is the best player. And Watkins is the main man.
Yeah. Like he's too important to the flow of their game. And Unai Emery has worked hard to get Rodgers up to this moment. He saw something in him. He's brought him through. He's integrated him. He ain't going to swap him out just because John Duran's a slightly sexier name in like the world of football because he scores more goals. No, Morgan Rodgers is kind of pieces this midfield and attack together.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do a poll. Best midfield differential. Garnacho, Savio, and McNeil will go for 3 I like on wildcard. We could chuck Semenyo in there, but I think you'll all vote for him. So we want more of a split pot. We've got one more who clocked 3 bonus points. Look, we're not just going to show you Erling Haaland every week on this feature for 3 bonus points. That'd be boring. So players maybe you don't own. Rodgers is only in 16% of teams. And again, up next, we've got Nico Jackson, who's only in 10.5. Now, this was a special mention for I had to include him for Dean, but special mention to Neil Robertson, who's a friend of the show.
Champion, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Winning again the UK title or England title. I can't remember what the tournament was he won yesterday, but he owns Nico Jackson, and he's just had big points from him. 63 minutes played, which is the fear of all the Chelsea attackers, because you could say the same about Sancho, the same about Madueke. We know they're going to be starters now, but we know they're probably going to get hooked. A bit like the Liverpool assets. Maybe it doesn't matter because you're not spending a fortune on them, and they're a team scoring goals. Now, Chelsea have scored more goals than every other team in the Premier League this season other than Man City, Dean. Like, if they're scoring goals, we should cover that attack. We can't all afford Cole Palmer.
Absolutely. Mustafa's about to be surprised. I think he's a good pick. I'm like, okay, like if this is the real Chelsea, if this is actually how they attack, if this is where he's coming from in that attack, and these are the type of chances he's getting, this suits him better. These types of finishes that he's getting are suiting him better.
He's not in tight spaces.
It was
getting behind
difficult.
It's a bit more open for him.
West Ham were terrible on Saturday, right? And for some reason, they played Edson Alvarez as a centre-back. Edson Alvarez was caught in no man's land in the first goal. Like, it was difficult. So, you're like, okay, he's got 2 goals. He's done really well. But West Ham's defending was shocking. He still had to finish them both. Took the second one particularly well as well with the outside of his foot.
Good finish.
I thought
didn't know he had that in his locker.
It was his best performance I've seen in a Chelsea shirt. I'm not so biased that I'm never going to give him any credit.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a great out-and-out number 9, no. I've always thought play him off the left or play him slightly to the left side, give him something to run into. He will do better. And that's basically where that goal comes from.
Yeah, he's a runner.
He can have some joy, mate. He can definitely have some joy. As you say, it's really... Maresca's obviously got a big job on his hands here to balance this attack out because he can't keep everyone happy. And for now, they're all okay. But there's no way that in 2 months' time, there's no complaints coming from this team.
Yeah, it's too
Jackson is probably okay.
Yeah, for starts, he'll get the early subs, but that's fine. Like, what if you're on wildcard and you can go Solanke at 7.5, Jackson at 7.7, or you can find the extra money for an Ollie Watkins, which is a lot of extra money. He's 9 million. Do you find the extra for Ollie Watkins, or can Jackson Solanke get close to Watkins?
Yeah, they could get close. I think I'd go Jackson over Solanke right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Yeah, I mean Solanke's getting the 90, but yeah, I mean,
but he's like I'm 74 says it's a bit late now to get Jackson, and I don't totally disagree with that either. Like we've just missed the performance, right? That's literally the best Chelsea performance we've seen from Nicholas Jackson, and I don't completely trust that to continue.
Yeah.
Next, they're playing Brighton, the team they want to become. Like, so is he going to deliver there now? He's moved to Brighton. Who knows?
Brighton players all perform against Chelsea because they're waiting for their next contract.
They're your feeder club, are they? But yeah,
this is our trial, boys.
Model themselves on. So, look, if Danny Welbeck has a good game against you, you'll be signing Danny Welbeck in January. Put it that way. Or João Pedro. Maybe you end up with João Pedro.
Yeah, or an Enciso or something.
But it was bizarre. A bit younger. The way that Chelsea were getting their chances against West Ham was ridiculous because they were straight through the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, played into our hands.
West Ham's midfield was like just absent. Like they were so slow. There was no.
They got Suchek on at half time, didn't they?
No connectivity to any of it. Lopetegui is really, really all at sea at the moment. He doesn't seem to know what he's doing. Todibo hasn't seen any game time in the Premier League. It's all a bit weird. But Chelsea completely exploited it, and it was a really, really good away win. So, yeah, I think Jackson genuinely is one to consider on a wild card.
Yeah. Nice. Well, look, let's see. We'll see our teams in just a second. But guys, we want to touch on a couple of quick-fire midfield options for those on wildcard because we did a poll and it was a pretty split pot. Also, CH has asked a question in the chat. Do get playing that game without looking which 3 mids have top bonus points so far this season. They all have 8. I'll leave that for you guys in the chat. So, Savio, 40% of you voted best midfield differential. Garnacho at 32%, McNeil at 26%. I like them all on wildcard. Savio, 6.5 million. I'm pretty sure I'm going to punt there. I'm going to pick him. Yeah, I think so. I just keep watching him and going, you're going to be Mahrez and you're going to be so good. And it was really telling at the weekend. Well, not only did he start, but with all those problems in midfield now, especially with the Rodri injury, it just means the likes of Bernardo Silva will play more central. And that right-hand side just feels like it's Savio's. When they make an attacking sub and Grealish comes on, I'm like, oh, will it be Doku or Savio that comes off? They've both been quiet in the second half. And Doku was subbed off first. And I'm like, oh, is that an indication of pecking order? I think it might be. So if you look at Grealish, Doku, and Savio as the 3 out-and-out wide men, Savio's arguably ranked 1 at the moment for minutes. And I just feel like owning Haaland's not enough. If you want to benefit from Man City goals, they've had the most shots, the most goals, the highest XG. Man City, Haaland isn't enough. I can't get to a Foden or a De Bruyne when he's fit. It's a lot of money, but look, Savio gets you part of that Man City front 3, and I'm there for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. I would be doing that too if I was wildcarding this week.
It's punty. He was no other content creator is there from what I've seen.
Are they not really?
That's interesting. It's too much of a risk. Content creators like 90-minute men on penalties. And if they're not 90-minute men, if they're not, okay, they don't all have to be on pens, but if they're not 90-minute men, most don't consider them. That's why no one will even go Diaz.
Yeah, I think that's such an oversight. And, you can really balance out your midfield as well by getting Dibbling in from Southampton. I don't know how much people watch.
I went there on my draft. I saw he starting again, and 5 minutes before 3 o'clock, I brought him into my draft team, and 10 minutes later, he scored a goal. It's unbelievable.
Mate, he's their best player.
He's wicked, isn't he?
He is their best player. He's 4.5 million. He's just got his first points. Friend of mine is a Southampton season ticket holder. He's like, mate, he's going to play every game.
Wow.
Like,
Well, FPL Freddie in the chat is a big Southampton fan, and he said Dibling's amazing. And he's in my
he is.
WhatsApp group, and the other day said, buy him. He's 4.5 million.
It's 4.5 million. He's one of those picks that you don't really want to spread throughout the game because you don't want everyone picking this guy as one of their picks. So let's just keep this between ourselves and chasing. Do not mention this to anyone, chasers. This is some secret information. Dibbling is your best 4.5 midfielder. No other content creator should ever know about him.
Yeah, I'll look at Dibbling. I mean, Southampton's is a great 8th attacker. Because look, when you're spending 4.5 million, you don't need him to.
No, mate, he's great, and they've got Leicester at home coming up soon. Like that's a game you could even start him in. Like I genuinely, I would say like home fixtures. They've got Leicester, they've got Everton coming up. Start him because he will bring rewards.
He clocks the XG too. Like yes, he got the goal against Ipswich, but a 0.92 XGI. Like that's amongst the highest of the game week. Oh, he'll win a penalty or two. We've seen that already. I think he won the penalty that Cameron Archer missed against United. I think he did, or maybe I got that wrong. But yeah, he's good. And the fixtures read Bournemouth away, Arsenal at home. Sorry, Arsenal away. But then it's Leicester at home, game week 8. That's a definite start. In game week 10, he's got Everton at home. That's a starting game. So you're right. He's got a couple of good home fixtures where you go, yeah, you could definitely chuck him in there. And he beats an option like a Harry Winks at 4.5. You know, of course he does. He's the best 4.5 million option.
Absolutely, yeah. Casey says he's having trouble accessing the members page. If you go to YouTube on your computer, it doesn't, some reason I don't think work on phones. This on YouTube, but on your laptop, when you go to YouTube, when you go to Chasing Green Arrows, you should just see a join button, basically. And on there, you'll see there's 2 tiers of membership to join Chasing Green Arrows. There's various options. It depends what you want to get involved with. There's extra video content. There's a WhatsApp group that I'm chatting in every day with people. And we had good fun at the weekend around all the selection dilemmas, and people started wild carding. So I was having fun around that. But yeah, there's extra content coming throughout the season here on Chasing Green Arrows. You get a little emoji by your name in here as well. You'll always be a special part of the channel. Not that everyone else isn't, because of course we are. We're the chasers. But we really appreciate the support. So anyone that can, Casey's having, I thought that might be it. For some reason, YouTube, being the monster that it is, hasn't figured out how to do this from mobile phones. Funny enough, people watch YouTube content from phones. Who would have thought?
I bet over 50% are watching on mobile as well. So it is annoying that the members, because I get this a lot as well. I don't think it ever works.
I just can't believe it.
What we'll do though, because the join button doesn't show, what we need to do, and we need to make sure we make a point of this. You all can see the description of the show. You see the show title, but then you see catch us live at 7 p.m. in the description. We need to put the members only link in that description. So anyone on mobile can just click on that link and it will take you through to the members page.
Absolutely.
So we'll get better at that.
Yeah, we will.
And I reckon we'll do a poll. I'm guessing over half are watching on mobile.
Yeah. Some say they can see join on their phones. I can't. I'm on an iPhone. It's quite a new one, and I can't see it. So maybe it's different phones. Maybe it's something like you can't on Android, Apple, but you can on Android. Yeah. Maybe it's something like that. Yeah.
Weird. Okay, guys. We shall carry on. Should we see our teams?
Yeah, let's go for it. Our tool says he can't hear us. Hopefully everyone else can. This would be a pretty bad show if nobody can hear us. Right. San Diego Rifles. It was a disappointing game week. As we know, I was I thought about free hitting. I think I would have ended up slightly better off. I'd have probably ended up with like 5 or 6 points more, so it wouldn't have made too much difference to me.
What was your transfer, Dean? Did you go Solanke?
Yeah, Solanke and Frisak. Yeah,
paid off, and you could have gotten a second goal there. Could have got a second.
Yeah, and I do like Solanke. The thing is with Solanke, I'd written about him. Forgive me, sport. I talked to someone about him. I'd done all this positive stuff around him. I was like, I just need to back this up by just picking him because they're all telling me he's going to score at the weekend. So I should just do it. Chat Sport, this team is strong. I'm probably not going to wildcard, mate. It's more because everybody else is, and I'm slightly envious of the fun they could have. But yeah,
Will you go Raya then? Will you go Arsenal? Because Raya for me is just such a good pick on wildcard.
Yeah, so Raya is if with a one transfer, I'm bringing in Raya.
You got the money? You got
Yeah.
0.5 in the bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So Pope will go to Raya. Rico Lewis would come back into the team because he will, I believe, play in the next game. And that would be my team. So it wouldn't be a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just there are a few changes I would make right now. Amrit says, "But what's my overall rank?"
Oh, we've got the rank on show now.
Oh, there we go.
Amber, it's
Oh, there
on
we go.
screen. It's on screen.
290k.
Oh, I'm
there you
gutted
go.
it's on screen. That means mine's going to be on screen.
Maybe they won't put yours, mate. Maybe they don't want to.
We'll soon find out. Before we see my team and my rank,
is Raya
early
fit?
thoughts on captaincy? We'll do an early captaincy poll, but
mate,
plays Leicester, but Haaland goes to Newcastle, who you saw Newcastle defend, and they are bad at the moment.
Mate, the weekend I'm annoyed I swayed from this. I'm not changing it all season.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? I told myself, don't change around the armband. Just leave it on Haaland because it doesn't matter. He's fixture proof. He will score when he needs to score, and he just won't miss any. Occasionally, okay, yes, I thought Salah would get more points to return against Bournemouth. Of course I did. But this weekend was proof that is not how football works out, right?
Fixture.
Anytime I attempted to take that captain's armband off of the King Haaland, remind me of this game week. Remind me. Because I'd have had 18 points off of Haaland, and that would be a nice little extra points. But I'm going to go Haaland captain for the foreseeable future.
I'm getting absolutely slaughtered for my rank. So many, not enough room on screen for my rank. Chosen. Thanks, team.
This is why you're wildcarding, mate. You want to have the last laugh when we're sat here next week. That's the aim. You'll be ahead of me this time next week if your wildcard goes well.
We don't need to look at rank until October, guys. That's what I always say when I've got bad start to the season. Let's have a look at
the Man United squad, I think.
Guys, we'll see my team.
Eddie Saka was just subbed. They had to make a change. Trossard sent off. Saka always has a knock of some sort. Martinelli is better defensively. I don't think there's any more in it than that. Saka's fine.
My rank actually isn't on screen. Thank you very much, producer. I'm happy with that. Let me tell you my rank. I've just looked it up because genuinely I didn't know. I knew it was around 3 million. It is. It's 3.1. 3.1 million. That's a green arrow. I think I was on 3.3. So,
wow.
The rank didn't fit. When I'm down to 6 digits, under 1 million, we'll squeeze it in.
Yeah. Sorry, Amrit was asking. He just said it was asking for my points, not my rank. Oh. Let me just. My points is 364.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So, I'm wildcarding. In terms of players in that team that will be in my wildcard team, hang on. Sorry, I'm watching YouTube and I've got your team on screen, but I need to find StreamYard. What we doing? Right. In terms of players that will be in my wildcard team, let me just run through. Trent stays, only defender to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Goalkeepers will go. Midfielders, Rodgers will stay. So that's 2 players. And then Haaland and Watkins as things stand. So 4 of my 15 are making 11 changes. And Watkins could go as well. João Pedro could go. We've spoken about Evan Nilsson and DCL briefly. In the midfield category, though, we did that poll earlier and I said we'd discuss it. What do you make of the United wingers, Dean? Because after his goals, I was convinced Rashford would start. And Ahmad's been playing really well. We kind of can't drop him. But Garnacho's been playing really well. You can't drop him either. So moving forward, who are the 2 first-choice wide men at United? Because Ten Hag doesn't know, does he? Therefore, we can't know.
This is why it's all a bit nonsensical. I was told going into the weekend, he's played Rashford against Barnsley to play him into form, bully him a bit, get some goals, get some confidence. I was like, oh, okay, well, if that's what he's done to play him into form, well, then he's nailed him for a spot. So he starts left, Xerxes starts right. There's only one spot up for grabs, but Diallo's playing too well to be left out. So it's going to be Garnacho and Anthony on the bench. And then you get to the game, and Rashford's out the team. When he comes on for Xerxes. So I'm very confused, especially now. Højlund's coming back to fitness. So what's going to happen now?
Rashford down the middle at the same time Højlund comes back. Like, he didn't try that earlier in the season when Højlund was out and he just had Xerxes. He was playing Bruno there.
And he's starting to play Christian Eriksen every single week. Yeah. He's now got Ugarte. It's like he's making a point of not playing him. It's like, mate, sort your life out. Like,
Yeah.
yes, United should have won at the weekend. For an hour, they were good and they missed some chances. But your game management wasn't good. I don't think your team selection, even though your team should have won, I don't think your team selection was right. And I'm not convinced you know what you're doing with
No,
this team
there's
going
still no
forward.
identity, and they're still leaking chances. I know Southampton and Palace, they kept clean sheets in those games, and loads are now looking at like, oh, can I go for a United defender? They conceded a ton of XG against Palace and a ton of XG against Southampton. They're vulnerable at the back still.
Absolutely. I don't know. Like, it's the problem is like they've just come through this spell. They've beaten Southampton, they've beaten Barnsley, and they've drawn with Palace, but I'm still not any sure about where they are. If I was wildcarding this week, I'd bring in Mazraoui.
Would you?
I would, yeah. I think that Mazraoui is a really good pick and a good value pick.
I just don't know about clean sheets. I know they've just kept 2 though, but I
think
like
it's
Garnacho at 6.4, whatever he is. Like, but he's similar to Savio. And if I'm going to punt on one, I just trust the City attack. But there's no doubting, like, Garnacho is a really fun pick.
He is a fun pick, but as I say,
he always gets chances. Always.
Now you've got another player in the mix. It's literally Højlund and Xerxes, occasionally Rashford battling for the centre spot. Then you've got Garnacho and Rashford battling for the left spot. Ahmad battling with Anthony for the right spot. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on. And obviously, they have got Europa League as well. So maybe see what happens with FC Twente this week. And if there's any clues there that you can actually read into. I'm not sure there will be. I don't know what you can even read into. Garnacho is the best, right?
Yeah, in terms of FPL as well, he's the one that always gets the shots. He's greedy. He just
even if he comes on, mate, he scores or it comes. He gets the chance. That's like he's a very good impact player as well, which I don't really think Rashford is. So I still think out of those picks, Garnacho is the best pick because even if he's sub, I'll be like, okay, he's going to come on and he'll get a chance.
Yeah, nice. Okay, there we go. I did see, thank you, Casey. And I know Dean said thanks in the chat. Casey signed up as a member. Dean, just run through what the membership tiers are and what you get for those, because I'm not 100% in the loop on that. Because I saw Casey's become a what member?
Did it say? I don't know if it said. Basically, we've got 2 tiers. So you
Premium
can see
tracer.
The what?
Premium.
Yeah, so... the top tier, you get to come in the WhatsApp group with us, and there's a growing bunch of guys and girls. Yeah, just get involved. We've got tips in there. Everyone's asking, people will ask me questions. I'll ask them questions. It's just a really good FPL chat room, basically. It's quite funny. I realised, actually, since I've been in this Chasing Green Arrows WhatsApp group, that I don't talk about FPL away from this show. Ever. Never. Like occasionally, like my mates with the league that we're in, we like make fun of each other for like how our game weeks have gone, but we never actually talk about our teams and stuff like that because no one really wants to tell each other what they're going to do. And half of them, I swear, are just making it up as they go. Like, there's one lad who's like ahead of me, doesn't watch football. I'm like, he's either paying for advice or he's just like got lucky on auto pick. I don't know what's happened.
I bet he signed up to Big Man's one-to-one service,
mate. If Big Man
he's doing so well,
coaching him, then. But yeah, come and get involved. I'm having good fun actually chatting FPL with people on a daily basis. So.
Welcome to my life, mate. That's every hour. Can we swap? I'd quite like my life not to be fully FPL, and it sounds nice. Sounds like you're enjoying it, which is nice.
I'm enjoying it, mate. Yeah, but it's the same with me. Like with transfers, I don't really enjoy transfers. It's kind of the bane of my life, but it also is how I make a living. So it's not really.
I got so similar. Mine's as the season goes on, and yours will be the same with the transfer window. As the days go on, you're like, come the end
of the
window.
Best day of the year is when it shuts.
Yeah. My best day of the year is.
Then I realise I'm not relevant anymore. Actually, then I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah, I know. It's like sweet. What's that? I can't think of the term. It's like when it's sweet and sour at the same time. What's the term? Someone let me know what the term is. It's something where it's like sugary and sweet. I can't think of it. Matthew is a member, therefore he's been brought up on screen. Do you think Bruno Lewis Diaz Trent combo? I personally think I would go for the Trent. It's pretty much Trent or Palmer. I'd go Trent. Like, I think Trent's that good. What's that term I'm
Yeah.
looking for? It's killing me.
I do wish I had
Bittersweet. Bittersweet.
Bittersweet. There you go. I do wish I had a Trent. I've got to admit, like I thought he was going to score at the weekend. I was just relieved, to be honest, that he didn't. But the way he's storming forward is just absurd. Right, Deb says best Jota replacement budget. I haven't got
you've got
Oh, Abby! Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Mbeumo is a great, obviously, like the pick, isn't it? Like, oh, sorry, already have Mbeumo. So yeah, so Mbeumo is.
What do you think of Eze? Because Eze's still very good.
I'm getting bored of him.
I've not owned him all season, but I can see why people like Big Man have been really unlucky with Eze because he's just the nearly man every week.
Like Bruno Fernandes.
Well, those two are dodging points. Like Eze, how did he not slot that one home against United? The side foot.
Honestly, Smith Rowe.
Yeah. Rodgers, if you don't own him.
It's 5.7 million. Yeah, Rodgers at 5.2 and Smith Rowe at 5.7. Both playing every single week. Both playing advanced positions.
Yeah.
Kind of talisman for the team.
Yeah, good club.
And it's such an unbelievable price point. I think that there's scope to have both of those players in.
Yeah.
You could actually have Smith Rowe, Rodgers. You could even have Dibbling. You could have two, and then you could have Saka and Salah.
And Semenyo, just throwing his name in the mix. He's 5.6 or something.
There's actually there's combinations now of 4.5 to 5.7 players that you can actually pick and get game time out of, which we didn't know we had at the start of the season. So that's, if you're on wildcard right now, definitely consider that.
Yeah. By the way, Abby, that's awesome. You've joined the kind of elite tier. Because of that, you're going to be in the WhatsApp group with Dean. But we just need your number. So if you are happy,
put it on screen. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, if you haven't put your number in chat, then do. But I'm guessing you'd prefer to DM us. So Chasing Green Arrows is on Instagram and on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure DMs are open on both of those platforms. So do us a favor, right in the next couple of minutes, and send us your country code mobile number. And mobile number. And that'd be great.
Yeah, that's going to be the same, obviously. So if you do join the elite tier, this is the problem with having a WhatsApp group. We need your actual phone number. Yeah. I got my phone number there. Like, unfortunately, it's the only way to access it. You can't do it through email or whatever. So yes, stick your number into Chasing Green Arrows. It's all private. Nobody else will see it. And they'll just come straight into our group.
Oh, Punter, proper friend of the show, Punter, the original chaser and our first subscriber. Love that. He's smashing it this year. 211k. He's doing even better than you did. You've got off to a flyer. I know we joke about your bad week.
Well done, Punter.
Yeah, fair play. Guys, Amit says, I don't believe in owning Calvert-Lewin. Please convince about him. I don't. We've run out of time to get into Calvert-Lewin. I mean, look, my take on Calvert-Lewin very quickly is he's a very good pick on wildcard. The Everton fixtures are nice. Dean's backed him all season, and he's had big rewards.
You're just going to get decent returns. He's not going to blow you. He's not going to change the game for you. He's not going to be a must-have for anyone across the season. But at £6 million, while he's fit, he will deliver goals on a semi-regular basis, which I don't think you're going to get from a lot of players in that price bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. FPL Chai says, 8 p.m, boys. Jesus, good to see you, boys. Chai, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you know me. It's my bedtime at 8 o'clock. We are saying our goodbyes just as you joined. But if you have just joined, go back and watch the last hour. We've had a really good show. And we will see you on Wednesday for another show. We're going to be Wednesday live at midday UK time. And then again on Friday night, Dean will be back, which will feel like a little bit of a deadline because we won't do a deadline stream Saturday morning. But on that Friday night show, expect both Big Man and Dean to have their wild cards all but locked in. And they'll be revealing them on this show at 7 p.m. So guys, make sure you're tuning in and subscribing for that content throughout the week. On your way out, hit the like button and we will see you for another stream on Wednesday. Bye-bye.